Hello everybody, welcome to the Gameweek 25 Planet FPL Deadline stream, and it's live. My name's James, and over the next 55 minutes or so I'm going to try and get through as many of your FPL deadlines as possible ahead of the 11 AM UK deadline for Gameweek 25. Before submitting the question, guys, please check graphics on screen, as the answer to your question may well be on screen. The one I'd definitely like to point out to you is bottom right, top captaincy picks for the game week. My preference is with Cristiano Ronaldo over Bruno Fernandes for the captaincy. I think it's a very, very close call between the two, though, so I wouldn't buy Ronaldo instead of Fernandes because of that. If Fernandes suits your structure better, I would buy Bruno Fernandes. I've decided to do neither. I believe David De Gea is the third best choice, and that's what I've gone with. He is my captain for the game week. Then you got Salah, Rashford, Jota, Trent, Neil, Maupay as a punt, Kevin De Bruyne, João Cancelo as my top 10 captaincy picks for the game week. Neil Maupay is there. He's purely to please one guy. We all know that, right? To the left of me, you'll see the schedule for the game week, kickoff times for all the games, and that'll flip round and show you my correct score predictions for all 10 fixtures taking place this game week. Remember, Chelsea and Arsenal, blank. It is doubles for Manchester United and Brighton. My team locked in is on the screen to the top right hand corner. I have made one free transfer selling Bernardo Silva for Mohamed Salah. I have skipped the United option and I'm setting myself up further for what is to come. I accept the almost inevitable red arrow that is going to come my way this week, but I think it's going to set me up much better than the majority for game weeks 26, 27 and 28. I'm lined up this week with De Gea, Dalot, Trent, Cancelo. I know there's a risk around Cancelo, but when he's been available this season, he's only missed 13 minutes of Premier League football. So I did consider kind of beefing up the bench because I don't have any cover for Cancelo. Bearing in mind, Diop won't play for West Ham. Kieran Tierney obviously doesn't have a fixture. My midfield is Salah, vice-captain Jared Bowen, Diogo Jota, and Leandro Trossard with a double. Up front, Harry Kane, Dennis and King. Hold on before you go down my throat. So, something I'd like to clarify. I spoke a lot about forwards yesterday on yesterday's podcast, and I've got to admit, my principal idea of always play the forward doesn't work. And you're going to be seeing the one substitute I do have this week is Jacob Ramsey. James, surely play Jacob Ramsey instead of the two Watford players. No, I've decided not to. My theory and thinking is behind this. One, which one of Dennis or King do I drop? That's a nightmare. Whichever one I drop's the one that will return. 2, this is their first home game under Roy Hodgson. We may see a different Watford today, especially if Ismaila Sarr is back in the team, and I think he will be. 3, Brighton were horrendous defensively at Tottenham last Saturday, and I'm not overlooking that. Ramsey is not going to get the space for 4 that he had against Leeds. Leeds is a very unique opponent for midfield runners, and I explained that on yesterday's podcast. Can Jacob Ramsey return? Of course he can. So can Dennis and King in a home fixture in their first match for a new manager. Do I expect them to? No. I think it's 2 points for Dennis, King and Ramsey this week, personally. I'm going to go with the forwards. However, I promise to you all that I won't necessarily just say the forward. For example, when I take you to the benching dilemmas, the graphic with 5 pages below me on the screen, you will see there are a couple of options on there preferred instead of Dennis and King. For example, I've put Luca Dean ahead of them. And there may be questions I get today where I go, no, that's a better option than Dennis or King. So do you know what? I'm going to kind of reassess my assessment of always pick the forward. But for myself personally this week, I'm still going to go Dennis or King over Ramsey. They are close together on the bench in dilemma screen, so it was a really close call. Slight favouritism to pick Dennis over King, but not align it. I imagine all 3 players will get 2 points. So those benching dilemmas, just to clarify for you, and I'll see if I can put them all on the screen for you together now. So, page 1 is St. Maximin over Calvert-Lewin, over Breuer, over Dean, over Edouard. The player with the tick is the preferred option between the two. Page 2 is Edouard over Dennis, over King, over Weghorst, over Ramsey. Page 3 is Ramsey over Maddison, over Gallagher, over Ward-Prowse, over Reguilon. Page 4 is Reguilon over Trippier, over Soufal, over Cody, over Livramento. And page 5 gives you some keeper options. De Gea over Sanchez, over Loris, over Foster, over Martinez. And below the benching dilemmas, across the ticker at the bottom, you'll see upcoming fixtures for all 20 Premier League sides over the next, I believe it's 5 game weeks. Blanks are marked as a blank fixture. Blue is marking those with double fixtures. Good luck, everyone. Let's get into the questions. TJ Powell says, morning, James. Everyone, please remember the answer is on the screen, and for God's sake, no one knows if Veltman is nailed. Remember, it's just a game, and good luck this weekend. Be nice to each other. Thanks as ever, TJ. Yep, as usual, guys, smash the sub button and the like button. It's always appreciated. Holostamos says, hello, James. Change of plan from 2 days ago. 1.3 million in the bank. Son to Fernandes, meaning Salah for hit next week, or roll and get Salah for free next week. I'm just scared of big effective ownership as so much being 7k overall. Get that, mate. You're having a fantastic season. I think question probably lies in, what do you want with Sonny for Gameweek 26? Are you bothered if you don't have him? Do you really want Sonny? That's your answer, mate, there. Think of that first and foremost. If you sell Heung-min Son right now, you're not having him for 26. However, it sounds like he's possibly your full guy for Mo Salah in any case. If that's the case, I would buy Fernandes. FPL Invincible says, hi James, do you think it's worth to sell Calvert-Lewin to Maupay for the double game week or Breuer long term? I can save FT to attack double game week 26 as well. Then that's what I'd recommend. I think Calvert-Lewin will start today. I think Everton are probably in trouble today, but Leeds give up chances. We know that. So I would give Calvert-Lewin one more week and then make your decision next week, whether that's then Breuer for the start of Southampton's run, whether you want to attack something different, perhaps Ollie Watkins, whether you want to attack someone with a double, you might have more clarity about odds on Edouard then, for example. So I'd roll, mate. FPL Dougal says, morning, Jimbo, and currently on wildcard with the intention of bench boosting in 26. Which punch do you like for the double game week and beyond? Currently looking at Elise and Dan James. Not keen on Dan James, mate. Elise, yes. No guarantee you'll play twice in the double. We'll certainly start twice. We probably will play twice. Punts. Burnley players. Burnley players are the punts. I don't know if I would... I would probably consider, if I was wildcarding now, just getting Weghorst in ahead of the doubles and someone like James Tarkowski and benching them this week. That might be dependent on how many Arsenal players you maybe got, because you probably want to set up with some of them. So I think the punts, really, Burnley. I would far rather, if you want to go into Leeds, still go Rafinha. I think he'll have some joy today, particularly if Everton play the same shape that they played at Newcastle and against Brentford over the last week. So Rafinha, I mean, is not in a lot of kind of template teams at the moment. James Ward-Prowse, why not? They've got brilliant fixtures after this game week. You want to go silly punts? Stuart Armstrong and Mohamed Elyounoussi were both outstanding on Wednesday. Not keen on Dan James, mate, personally. I know he's playing OOP. I know he got a really good goal. He obviously scored 2. We got one really good goal on Wednesday. I just think I don't know if you've got hair, mate, but if you've got much left, then in my case, I wouldn't have any left. Definitely not. Will Jones says, hi James, hope you're all good. Just want to say how much we all appreciate the content you and Suj put out. Quality stuff. Thank you, mate. Also, FPL question. Do you reckon Laporte will start this week? Yes. He's in my predicted City team. Although my predicted City team differs somewhat to what I've seen circulating online in terms of other people's more experienced City predictors lineups. But yeah, I have Laporte in the predicted City lineup. But it would also come as no surprise, Will, if he doesn't start. FPL Planner says, hi James, thanks for the content. King or Maupay or Edward on a wild card. The other two are Weghorst and Breuer. Aiming to bench boost in 26. The answer to that might well be, mate, go with Maupay now, and then you've got a choice next week. So you could play Maupay with the single game week fixture at home to Burnley. It's absolutely fine, and you may find that looks better this time next week than Edward or King or options. So I think Maupay. The danger with Maupay, as I explained on yesterday's podcast, in fact no, on Thursday's Clash to Correspondence, is their fixtures are really good. The game week 29 fixture against Liverpool could suddenly become a double game week for them. And in 31, after you might be free hitting in 30, they've got Norwich at home. So you have to accept if you go for Maupay, you might end up getting stuck for quite a while. But I think of the 3 right now, that's the right choice. Sage says KDB to Salah, a roller transfer, have Bruno already. Personally, I'd get Mo back in. Personally, that's the way I go. You already got Bruno as well. I'd get Mo back in. I think he starts tomorrow. Not a guarantee, but there's no guarantee that KDB plays today either. You are definitely going to make that transfer next week, aren't you? I'd make it now. Ludwig says, morning James, I'm planning on getting Dean in for Alonso from -4 so that I can play Dean over Soufal this week. Reckon it's worth the hit? No, not particularly. I think Newcastle will probably score tomorrow. To be fair, I think Leicester will probably score on why am I going on? It's also bloody tomorrow. No, probably not. You need probably a goal from Luka Dean for that to be worthwhile. So, no, it's probably not worth the hit, mate. Josh says, hi James, Bernardo and Antonio to Bruno and Breuer for -4. Would go for Salah over Bruno, but reluctant to sell Foden this week. But if I bring Bruno in, I'd still rather captain Ronaldo. That's all fine, mate. I'm okay with all of that. Lewis Cole says, hi James, would you rather have Breuer and Rafinha or Morpay and Gallagher for the next few weeks? Rafinha and Breuer. Sean Coughlin says, hi James, good morning to you. Bruno in for Sterling for a hit. Yeah, I think so. No guarantee Sterling even starts, is there? Zaris says, should I sell Rudiger for a Manchester United defender? If yes, who will play both games? Greetings from Greece. Like and subscribe. James is an FPL god. Thank you. Bless you, pal. Maguire and Varane are obviously both lots to play both games as long as they come through the first one today unharmed. Dalot is likely to play twice. Luke Shaw more doubtful. Alex Telles was sighted in training yesterday, and I think Luke Shaw was as at fault for the goal because of his positional play on Tuesday as as Harry Maguire. Sorry, so I wouldn't be surprised if Telles is back in. I think Shaw will start. Dallow's still the best option, even with no guarantee that he'll play twice, mate. Dan M says, g'day Jimbo, have you been gaslighted into giving up bacon sambos by the morally superior FPL vegan Twitter brigade, all because Zuma kicked a cat? No, I haven't, mate. Javier Alcantara says, why Sujan Shah always copies your transfer moves every week, except for last week when he forgot to wildcard his team. Before that, he did same transfers like you. Because, mate, he is more of my voice than his wife's, I should imagine. He didn't forget to wildcard. He did miss the deadline, but he wasn't going to wildcard. We recorded yesterday's pod, and then we did our Patreon pod, and before we started, he said, I think I'm going to wildcard. I'm like, what are you doing? He sent me a draft of his team. I fucking hated it. Alistair Coper says, hey, mate, the 8 Norrie move was clearly a mistake last week. Would you do 8 Norrie to Webster from -4? Or should I just do 8 Norrie to Tierney from -4 next week instead? Cheers and good luck. It wasn't a mistake, mate. It wasn't a mistake. Nobody thought Markel was going to come back in for Wolves, and the Wolves fans all hated that decision. So it could be that they've made a decision and gone, look, there's 2 games in 3 days. 8 Norrie could even come back into the team. Generally, mate, I'd leave it right now. Gather in the information, and then if Markel still plays this week and you think 8 Norrie isn't going to play twice, what I'd say is, listen, think of it like this. Markel is so injury prone that if he starts tomorrow, he might get injured and miss the double game week. Honestly, I'd roll, mate. John Bailey says KDB to Bruno. Yeah, fine. Luke Hopkinson, morning, mate. 2 free transfers looking to move down from Soufal. One of the Brighton boys, maybe Webster or Lamptey, preference. All beast Webster, preference. Don't think Lamptey starts twice. Rose Mendes says Mason Mount Ronaldo to Fernandes and Neil Maupay captain. No, Rose. Dana J says best 4.6 million mid and below. Best 4.6 million and below defender for the next 3 game weeks. So you need cover for game week 27 as well. To be honest with you, what price is Dalot? He's still 4.6, isn't he? I think that's the answer. Double now leads away Watford at home. I think that's about right as it's going to be. Failing that, one other option to consider. This might sound a little bit outside the box, but consider a Brentford player. There's a couple of reasons behind that. They've got Palace today, and they've got Newcastle 27. So they're the 2 games you probably need the most cover for. I'm going to assume, no matter what, you're going to land quite well for game week 26. So you can bench Rico Henry or Pontus Jansson or whatever. You can bench them in game week 26. So perhaps one to consider, it depends on the rest of your team, obviously, would be a Brentford player. Failing that, I wouldn't go near the Southampton fullbacks at the moment because Liveramento's return. If you don't need Salisu today, that could be an interesting one. Everton at home 26, Norwich at home 27. But I think Dalot, or actually, I'd possibly consider a Brentford player. And they've got good fixtures 28, 29, and they play in 30 as well. So possibly a Brentford player. Preference would be Rico Henry. He can't be more than 4.6, surely. Javier Alcantara says, remember, James, this game week is the qualification round for who got the Assist League Cup. You better score 80 plus points, mate. Well, won't be fucking qualifying then, will I? James98 says, hi, mate. Thoughts of putting the armband on De Gea, rolling for next week to bring in Salah, Ramsdale and Tierney. Good luck this week. James, have a look at my team. Top right, mate. Andy Max says, hi, James. Need a goalkeeper for game week 25 and 27. Foster for free or get Sanchez for -4 with an extra game. Cheers, mate, and good luck for the game week. I can't really answer that without knowing who your other keeper is, mate, to be honest. I'm gonna say you've got Ramsdale. That's what I'm gonna read between the lines. In which case, the Ramsdale-Sanchez combination works absolutely brilliant. Bertica says, hello, James. Kilman or Dalot over the next 6 games, or go for the riskier 8 Nori. I don't think you can go for 8 Nori at this stage, considering he didn't start on Thursday night. Dalot. I still go Dalot at this point. If you're generally judging that over the whole 6 games, all the way up to game week 30, and you're not intending to free hit in game week 30, then I'm going to say to you, kill. Hordefe. Sorry, excuse me. DCL or Sufal, who to sell first? Both are on my bench, so not starting either, but I have 2 free transfers, so I have to use or burn. Then I've been Sufal. DJ Music Ace says, hi, mate, hope you're well. Cap Dalot or Shaw this week? I'd go Dalot off the 2, mate. Don't like that, though. Zaris says, I haven't even put Dalot on the top 10. Like, generally, I think it's Ronaldo, Fernandes, De Gea are my top captaincy picks. The only other United player I'd feel comfortable having a punt on is Marcus Rashford. DJ Music Case, that's what we've just done. Zaris says, I have 2 free transfers. Should I take Fernandes and Pogba or Ronaldo and the Man United defender? Legend, help me. Pogba wouldn't interest me at this stage, although I think he might be good in United's new setup. To be honest, the answer for Ronaldo and Fernandes, as I said at the top, probably lies in what you sell him. What's your team set up? If you go to Ronaldo, what are you doing? Are you going to Kane in 26? If you go Fernandes now, what are you doing? Are you holding longer? Are you going to Salah afterwards? Are you going to Son in 26? And that's more the answer. It's probably more about what's next rather than what's now, because, look, it's one game week. Either player can outscore the other. Alex Abdella says, is it dumb to transfer out KDB for Salah a week after bringing him in? It took a hit to get him and will take another to take him out. Phil Pep is about to screw us KDB owners over this week. Alex, it sounds like you've already drawn your own conclusion, mate. And I already said to someone else, yeah, fine, mate. Listen, you took a hit to get him in. He got you the points. Fine. That's it. You got the points. Move on. Although what I'd say is, how many points did KDB get in midweek? I'm going to guess maybe 11 to get 11. So you took a -4 to get him in. You're taking a -4 to get him out. If you didn't captain him, you've got 3 points. Yay. Sam Taylor says, morning, James. Do you prefer Elise or Ramsey as a Gray replacement? Not a straightforward answer, because you might be bench boosting in 26 for all I know, right? In which case the preference would be with Elise. My preference would be with Ramsey. I think Ramsey now we're looking at as he goes in, he stays in all season almost. So, Ramsey. James Checkley says, mushy peas or gravy with fish and chips? Neither, mate. Salt and vinegar kind of guy. That'll do, mate. Traditional. Rose says, do you prefer love marriage or arranged marriage? What was yours? That's one of your better questions, Rose. Mine was an arranged marriage. No, it wasn't an arranged marriage. Mine was a drunk marriage. Paul Willis says, hi, James. Had Lowton for 2 weeks. Keep or bin? Sack it off, mate. I mean, look, if you can bench him this week and you're comfortable, you've got the cover, then you never know your luck. Roberts might get injured this week and you're back in, but I think Roberts has got favouritism now, hasn't he? Asil Salem says, hi, James. Emerson Royal, stick or twist? Jesus. he's been so bad the last few games that his place is even under threat. The good news from an FPL perspective for you is the potential replacement is Matt Doherty, and he's even worse. Stick for the minute. FPL Dougal, another wildcard question. Do you think it's worth to go with... that's very nice of YouTube to skip for me. Thanks very much. Sorry, Dougal. I will find your question. Do you think it's worth it to go with Dallo and take a -4 for Connor Roberts for double game week 26? Or just hold Connor Roberts from this week and bench him? Yeah, the latter, mate. If that's what you want to do. I wouldn't go for Roberts, personally. And all I mean by that is, so to kind of contradict what I said about Asil's question previously, yeah, I think he's first choice now, but Burnley don't often have to play 3 games in 6 days, and between their fixtures against Tottenham, Crystal Palace and Leicester, they do. They play Wednesday, Saturday, Tuesday, and from Roberts, who remember was out for the first 4 months of this season, that might be one arse too many, mate. So I wouldn't go Connor Roberts if I was on wildcard. I'd pay the extra for a me or Tarkowski, or look elsewhere. Berth Media says Duncan Bruno in for Livramento and Smith Rowe. Worth the hit. Duncan Bruno in for Livramento, yeah. I mean, straightforward. Difficult to say in terms of what you benching instead, but on the face of it, it has to be. Appearance points should be worth 8. Those two probably... Smith Rowe obviously doesn't play. Livramento probably won't play today either, so it has to be worth it. Craig Gardner says De Bruyne to Fernandes on free transfer. No Man United attacker worries me. Was it just me, or did De Bruyne look to be playing a deeper versus Brentford? Well, I've got to be honest, Craig. I was at Tottenham Wednesday night, and I've not watched a lot of the Manchester City games, so I think it would be unfair of me to give you an answer in terms of his positional play against Brentford, because I've seen no more than 5 minutes of the game. If you're worried, make transfer, mate. But then I've just bought Salah instead of Fernandes, so I can go without, but then I've also said at the start I expect this to be a red arrow. It's more about the next few weeks for me. So Mohammed Ali says, I've sold Bowen this week to bring in Salah. We'll sell Foden next week to bring in Son. Then we'll probably sell Jota to bring in players with a lot of double game week. Am I nuts for a Maverick? You've already made your decision, mate. There's nothing nuts about it. You've got a strategy plan. I've got a strategy plan. I know my transfers for the next 3 game weeks, which is kind of nice from a brain process point of view, because I'm chill. I know what my decisions are for the next 3 game weeks as it stands. Now, of course, things can get in the way of that, injuries, suspensions, but if they don't, I know what I'm doing. Sebo Slices, get the likes in, guys. That's true, guys. Smash a like. It's nearly 500 of you so in here. You know, it doesn't cost anything to just press a thumb, does it? Ryan says DCL to Mulpay or roll. Roll. Sausage. David Hannigan says Raf and Alonso to Bruno and Veltman, or Josh King and Alonso to Mulpay and Cucurella using 2 free transfer. Definitely prefer the second option, because I think Rafinha could go off today and he's got a double next week. Admittedly, a very tough one. So option B, David. Ritwick says Kepa and Lowton out for De Gea on White, Tierney, me, Tarkowski. Which defender would you bring in from -4? Do you need it now, Ritwick? I mean, you're looking to... You can't be taking a minus... I'm guessing you can't be taking a -4 for an Arsenal player who's not playing. That doesn't make any sense, does it? So the sensible idea right now is Kepa to De Gea. Presumably you got Lowton and the players you mentioned are more expensive. You don't need to make that choice. So Kepa to De Gea for 1 free transfer and just leave Lowton for the minute. That seems fairly straightforward to me. FPL Claire A. Message retracted. Sorry about that, Claire. JFPL, morning, James. Best defender for 4.5 million and under over the next 4 or 5 weeks. Undecided on free hit 27 or 30. Brentford. That's where it's at. If you remove the Arsenal fixture from 26, where presumably you will bench this Brentford asset because of the brilliant fixtures in the game week, then what you're looking at over the next 5 weeks is Palace at home, Newcastle at home, Norwich away, Burnley at home, Leicester away. It's okay. Again, if you don't need that player today, perhaps Southampton, but then we don't know at this stage whether they'll play in game week 30 or not. That's kind of a 40-60 in terms of whether they will or won't. So, Brentford player, mate. To be fair, probably take your choice. Henry would be the preference, but then he's had the odd injury issue over the last year or so. So, you want to go a bit safer. Something like Janssen defensively. Bit shit though, isn't it? Martin Boyle says, how nice to have a Saturday AM deadline again. Much better than the Friday night. That week, game week 27 is Friday night deadline, isn't it? And I'm going to Burnley on the Wednesday. Won't be a lot of sleep that week. Adam says, hi James, is it worth Foden to Bruno this week, followed by Bruno to Saka next week? Only to take Saka out game week 27. Total 8-point hit, or just keep Foden? So that's what you're asking, right? Quite simple, right, Adam? Go away, write that all down, put your projected points for the transfers. How many points is it? And then know that it needs to be 8 more than Foden. And honest, to be worth it, probably needs to be 10 or 12 more as a minimum. I'd say probably no. Adam says, hi James, is it worth, that's what done, David Tyner, is Coutinho on pens? That's a good question. Who took Villa's last pen? I'm trying to think. It's probably El Ghazi, wasn't it? I don't know the answer to that. I have to be really honest. I don't know. I would have thought Watkins at the moment. I would have thought. But I don't know the answer to that. Dan Stairs says, morning legend, I'm gambling on a Pogba captain this week. Wish me luck. Good luck, Dan. Do you fancy a Spurs clean sheet? Need to bench one of Reguilon, Rafinha, DCL, Antonio. Cheers. And thanks for another awesome week. I have predicted us to win 1-0 tomorrow. Yes. But did you watch us Wednesday? It says more about Wolves' attack rather than Tottenham defence at the moment. And honestly, I would not pick Reguilon over any of them other players that you mentioned, mate. Chris says, Sky captain today. I'm going Cancelo, mate. Yeah, I see everybody else going the other way and going towards Ronaldo now out of fear. So I'm going Cancelo. I still think he probably starts today. And if he doesn't, it's gonna burn everyone in FPL. And it's definitely going to burn me in Sky. And I won't be the only one getting burnt if that's the case. I'm going to go Cancelo. If Cancelo starts, it's 10 points minimum. That's not true. I think it's 10 points in terms of I think you'll get the passing tier and stuff. And I don't think Ronaldo outscores that today. So I'm going to go Cancelo and it'll be what it'll be. He's gone completely the other way. Everyone else has moved towards Ronaldo and I've moved away from it. Baz Bestos says, hi James, I have 2 free transfers and struggling to even use one of them. Of my squad, only Antonio King or Ait Nori bought last week are expendable. 1.8 million in the bank. Who would you move first? It's not a straightforward question again because I don't know what you want to do with 26. Are you lining up for a bench boost? Who are you benching in 26 subject to transfers? So I presume you wouldn't bench Antonio against Newcastle, or would you? King's got the double. Ait Nori seems the obvious answer, doesn't it? You can't make that decision based on I only just bought him last week. The decision now is irrelevant on whether you bought him last week or 10 weeks ago. So you just have to say, take it on the chin and say, right now, that's the better sell of those 3 players, unfortunately. But I agree with you. Ideally, it would have been a roll. Tom Bolton says, any love for McAllister as a budget replacement for Gray over Ramsey? Sam FPL Seagull said on COTC on Thursday, he said that if he knew he was going to play every week, it'd be really, really interesting. And that's the problem. Trossard and Maupay have definitely got favouritism over him. It's very subject to system with them. I think he comes back in and plays today, personally. But honestly, I would go Ramsey. I think even if I was benched him, to say, look, this is setting me up better. And it's just one headache that completely goes away. And you go, shit, 4.7 or whatever he is now, that's great. He's the best in that value by absolute miles. And I can make week-to-week decisions whether I start him or not. What a great, even if you're not intending to start him, what a great first sub every week. So, Ramsey. Lalo Tree says, Gray to Ramsey, Foden to Fernandes. How does it look like? It looks fine, mate. Emily Sissoni says, hi James, who's the best 4.5 million midfielder from now on for the run home? I'm going to give you a gamble name of Matthias Norman is back for Norwich. I don't know if he's going to start, but that might be the one now. I think if I was wildcarding and looking to have that with Ramsey, it's worth saying, if that's all you can afford, I would, and say you're on wildcard, I would ditch something else to get Ramsey. is what I would do. But I think of the 4.5s at the moment, I want to say Norman's maybe 4.4. It might be 4.3. I think Norman will get his place back in the Norwich team. There's a certain element of gamble to that. Obviously, you're not going to start this player in the next 2 weeks. But that's probably where I'd go. Vinay Gore says, hi James, I have one free transfer. Thinking about bringing in Veltman for Duffy or Foden to Bruno. Which one would you prefer? P.S. Already have Ronaldo and David De Gea. Thanks. I mean, on the face of it, Foden to Bruno, right? But don't see Duffy getting minutes for Brighton. So, but then I'm not convinced Veltman plays twice. It completely depends what system they set up with. I think if it's a back three, that's good news for Veltman. But even then, it's not a guarantee that he'd play twice. And to be honest, he'd probably play centre back. I would prefer you paid the extra for Webster. That's definitely nailed. George Nibb says, hi James, play Antonio or Edouard? That would be Antonio for me, mate. Sheila says, which combo on wildcard between Coutinho, Kilman and White to Ramsey, Region, Tierney? I prefer option B, personally. Prefer option B, purely because I like all three of them assets, actually. Gary Baker says, hi James, would you sell Foden for Bruno, Antonio to Breuer for -4 to fund? You're saying Antonio to Bruno to fund, to Breuer to fund the Bruno move? No, I don't think I would. I think in the immediate, it probably pays for you this week. But I don't think I would. I'd probably rather roll. Sam C says, in Gameweek 26, would you, -4, Bowen to Saka to add a doubler for bench boost? Just play Bowen, mate. He's got Newcastle at home. It's fine. Doesn't have to have a double. Got one of the most informed players in the league playing at home to one of the weakest teams in the league. Just Bowen, mate. It's fine. You don't have to have a doubler. Eric Solly says, good morning, James. Antonio to Morpay is my plan. Can I add Pogba or Sanchez for -4 for Bowen or Backman? I would not sell Jared Bowen. The selling Backman's probably a good idea. Again, it depends what your other keeper is. Because say if your other keeper's Ramsdale, you're going to need that sooner or later, in which case the answer would be yes. David Hannigan says, please talk me out of wild card. Don't fucking wild card, mate. Seriously, it's not the right time. On a serious note, for those who have wild card, it's absolutely fine. But it's not fine to just be going, talk me out of wild card 25 minutes before deadline. If you're that indecisive about it, you don't do it, mate. Ross Johnson says, you've been lost in the jungle for 2 weeks. One FPL asset can save you. Who's the first player you want to see if you were stuck in the mud, desperate to be saved? Mine's Kante. What a face. What a question. Okay, I was reading the question and thinking you're going to ask, say an FPL asset, so Mo Salah. But no, Mo Salah is not the face I'd want to see. Which face would I want to see? Do you know what? I'm going to say Antonio, actually. Yeah, why not? Why not? He'd be happy about shit and he'd be like, yeah, come on, let's go. Golden Goal Fantasy Football Podcast. Morning, James. Who is your captain in Sky today, mate? As already covered, mate. Plan is Cancelo. James98, can you see Edward starting? Personally think he will suit playing against Brentford more than Mateta. And no, not just because I own him. Yes. Yeah, 65-70%. I've got Edward in my predicted Palace team. Rob Howard, yo, James, hope you're well. Can't look at Bernardo Silva anymore. Have 8 million budget. Have Jota, Mo, Bowen, Mora. Will be for a hit. Why am I thinking Pogba? Cheers, mate, and good luck. I don't know, mate. Just buy Bruno Fernandes. Lincoln Beggs, hey, James, how you been? Like, my throat's going to pass out at any point. And a little bit, yeah, sorry, guys. And a bit short of sleep, but otherwise, very, very good. I need to, unfortunately, start one of Dawson, Dennis, or King. Dennis, mate. That's the answer. I've got Dennis above King on the bench in dilemma. Dennis. That said, I don't think West Ham keep a clean sheet tomorrow. It is worth saying that Leicester are obviously abysmal from set pieces. We thought they might have fixed the problem, judging by the last couple of games. They haven't. And Dawson and Zuma are obviously great threats from set pieces. I mean, Zuma's just a threat to society, but Dawson's a threat at set pieces. I might be talking you into Dawson there. I'd go Dennis. Simi Jackson says, do De Bruyne to Salah this week or next week? I'm scared that De Bruyne will not start. Then take the pain away, mate, and just do it. It's no guarantee that Salah's going to start, by the way. Vinay Gore, would Foden start? My favourite sort of question, because I'm Pep Guardiola and I can tell you the Manchester City team right now. Read the bio. RBKK2009, Foden or Gundogan out for Salah. By the way, I do have Foden in my predicted City team. Foden or Gundogan out for Salah. Thinking potential KDB benching unleashed to Gundogan. Yeah, I've got Gundogan in my predicted City team today as well. But I still think that's the right move. If you see the City team and Gundogan's not in it, you are going to hate that you didn't make that move. Just do it. You know, either way you want to get rid of Gundogan, right? Okay, so he can return at Norwich. Not like Salah can't return at Burnley. I think it's Gundogan go, mate. Nigel Sam says, hey James, best of luck for this week. I'm around 100 points behind in my mini league, which is among my friends. Is the best advice to catch up going differential players and cap and hope for the best? No. Right now it's the opposite. It's to keep following a template right now at this minute. It's very dependent on what chips you've got and stuff, mate. If anything, it's the opposite. 100 points you can make up. Listen, I promise you, most people are going to look at their teams next week and think, I'm getting 100 points this week. Most people are going to look at their teams in an hour and go, I'm getting 100 points next week. And especially if Salah goes off, he may very well be a very big scoring week next week. So stick to more the template at the moment. Long way to go. Long way to go. Many double game weeks to come. The advantage is yours there, Nigel. Paul, wait, the advantage isn't yours because you're 100 points behind. The advantage is yours in terms of, I don't know if your friends are in the FPL community or whatever and have got kind of insight into what might happen with double game weeks and that sort of thing. If you're in the know, Nigel, I think you can definitely make that up. Definitely make it up. But if you go differentials and your mate goes for Bruno Fernandes and captains him and he gets a hat-trick today, you fucked, don't you? Then it's 150 points. Then it becomes harder. You can make it up, mate. Paul Duffy says, hi James, the KDB rumours are scaring me. Should I transfer KDB to Bruno for double game at 25? What rumours? Because someone's posted on Twitter and said this is the predicted Man City team. Predicted. Not rumours. These are predictions. Should I transfer KDB to Bruno for double game at 25? Or should I save the free transfer this week? Move Ronaldo and Bernardo Silva to Laka and Salah. Lacazette. Wouldn't go near him, mate. The 6.5 million forwards are shit. Would you want to pay for a shit 8.5 million forward? I wouldn't go near Lacazette. But yeah, I'd make transfer, mate. If you're that worried about it, just take that worry out your hands and watch Bruno at 12:30 and enjoy it. Jay Lodge says, hi James, thanks for the content. Bit worried about Cancelo not starting and only having Diop as cover. Is it worth using a free transfer to bring in Tarkowski and bench him? See, that's interesting. So I've basically got the same scenario where obviously I've got Tierney and my only cover's Diop, right? Diop's almost definitely a 0-pointer as well. So I have thought about that myself. For me, it was more a case of, do I take a -4 for, say, Cucurella would have been a preference for Diop and start him over one of the Watford players, which generally I would have done. And I decided that wasn't worth it. In the case of a free transfer, I would definitely have done it. Now, the difference with yours is you're saying Tarkowski, and I know why you're saying Tarkowski, because of Burnley's back-to-back doubles from next week. The reality is Tarkowski is probably a 1-2 pointer, but what if they win 1-0? I think the answer there is to do it for the free transfer because you're going to be happy to have him for the next couple of weeks with the back-to-back doubles. It does offer you cover today that's probably not going to get you any returns, but it then sets you up better for 26. And in the unlikely scenario that he ends up coming off the bench for Cancelo and Burnley keep a clean sheet, you're laughing, aren't you? Absolutely laughing. So I don't really see what harm the free transfer can do unless you've got a completely different plan for game week 26. So I think, yeah, crack on, mate. Good question, that one. Alejandro Perez says, hey, James, took a -8 last night. KDB, Bruno, Martinelli, Salah and Antonio Breyer. Should I just wildcard? No. Ross Watson says, morning, James. Who's the captain in Sky today? Ronaldo, I'll go with a City defender. I've covered this. You probably heard, Ross. Andre Traore, I'm very happy that you finally have Neil Maupay on the captaincy list, James. I know you love Neil Maupay, James. I absolutely love Neil Maupay. Neil Maupay is one of the most loved people in the whole of the world. You can tell that by how much of a prick he is. Ashish Shukla says, morning, James. Foden, Martinelli, Antonio to Salah, Pukki and Ramsey for a -4. So what you're saying is, you're saying James, Foden, Martinelli, and buying Salah. I don't have a problem with these moves. However, Ashish, I would go Eder rather than Pukki. Personally, and it's going to give you more money in the bank. Honestly, I would go Eder. But yeah, I quite like it, principally. Cambly Lobacta says, morning, sir. My one decision is to play Dean or Ramsey versus Newcastle. Any thoughts, pal, or do I just flip a coin? Cheers, mate. I do have thoughts, mate. They're on the benching dilemma, both of those players. And the preference is actually with Luca Dean. Patrick Lawson says, hi, James. Need to sell a midfielder to get Fernandes. Who will become Salah next week? Would you sell Elise, Trossard, Bowen, Jota, or KDB? Can go directly to Fernandes from all but Elise. You can't go Elise to Fernandes. Can I be honest with you? I wouldn't bother. I think that's a really nicely set up midfield for potentially next week in terms of going KDB to Salah. I wouldn't bother, but then it does depend somewhat in terms of your captaincy option this week. Therefore, in terms of the balance of your team, I would sell KDB. But generally, I wouldn't bother, I think. But if you've got Ronaldo, I wouldn't bother. If you haven't, fine, do it. Stick the armband on Bruno and sell KDB. Ali says, I have Kane and Bruno as captain. Oh, you got multi-chip. Should I get Ronaldo for Kane or roll the free transfer? I presume you're going to go Bruno captain rather than Harry Kane, I'm assuming. Should I get Ronaldo for Kane or roll, mate? Let it go. You're only going to want to reverse that next week anyway. Jamie Williams says, anyone know what's going on with Livramento? I've held him and could really do with him coming back into contention given the upcoming fixtures. So I'll cover that for you briefly, Jamie. Livramento wasn't involved in midweek because he played longer against Coventry last week in the FA Cup than what the club had planned. A few things happened in the game and he ended up playing 90 minutes basically, which wasn't the plan of his first game back. So he decided just to give him the night off against Tottenham. So I expect him to be back in the squad today. All I'd say is Walker-Peters and Perraud were absolutely brilliant in midweek. I mean, the whole Southampton team was, in fairness. But right now, they deserve to keep the shirts. And I can't see where Southampton rush him back in. That said, if something happens and the door reopens for Livramento and he's sitting in your squad for game week 27, hallelujah, that's absolutely fantastic. So as long as you've got cover, Jamie, I wouldn't get rid just yet if you can wait. And gather some information over the next 2 game weeks. If you can't, move him on. Ritwick says, Rafinha, King, Dennis, Zaha, which free to play? I'd bench King from that. More the Explorer, hi James, what transfers are at the top of your mind for yourself for game week 26? The one that the brilliant question who you had to come in that I went through is Tarkowski in for Diop. It's not worth the -4 for me to have to cover now. If it was a free transfer, I'd make that transfer now. Tarkowski to Diop is the plan for game week 26. FTLOL podcast. Hi James, non-FPL question. With the lack of quality Prem strikers in FPL and real life, where would Sheringham rank amongst the best strikers in the Prem today? Right near the top, mate. Right near the top. But below Kane, below Lukaku, on prestige, below Ronaldo. Teddy was great. I'm not sure he'd get on as well now as he did in the 90s because the speed of the game is so much quicker. Teddy was quick in his mind. Super player. Unlike... He's kind of a strange forward to analyse in the sense that he was a number 10 rather than a number 9. Despite being obviously someone you could use as a target man as well. And he had no pace. So he's quite an unusual player in that sense, but extremely clever. One of the cleverest forwards I've ever seen, actually. Yerrick Reyes says, hi James, wildcard 24, bench... Mate, it's been and gone, hasn't it? Bench boost 26, free hit 133, free hit 236, triple captain 25 Bruno. Well, you've already wildcarded. What happens if I say, no, don't triple captain Bruno? You've made your decision. I don't mind. If you're bench boosting 26, I don't mind seeking the alternative to Mo Salah. There is no guarantee that there will be another better option than the next 2 game weeks from a triple captain perspective. 28, Chelsea might be interesting. If you're using the chips in 33, 36, I'd say the most likely one that might be interesting that falls in a random game week would be Tottenham. Which might be, for example, Tottenham is possibility to have, say, Newcastle and Brighton in game week 31 or Brentford and Brighton in game week 34. But you need some luck for that to even land for Harry Kane or Heung-min Son. So, yeah, I don't mind it. If your setup is bench push 26, I do not mind you using the triple captaincy now. I don't think the only thing I'd add there is obviously what you're doing with 30. I think you'd be better off having the second free hit in 30 rather than 36. If the big clubs keep winning in the FA Cup, 36 should fall quite naturally that you have a half decent team. 33 less so. Golden Goal Football Podcast, and if you want more on that, and it's still relevant, it will still be relevant after deadline. I highly recommend Monday's podcast that we did on Ship Strategy, Season 5, Episode 34. Minutes 15 to 55. You can fit that in between the end of this and the Man United game. It's about 8-9 minutes to deadline, by the way, guys, so get yourselves locked in. I'm just going to have a check on my DMs just in case there's any early Manchester United news. I'm not expecting anything early, to be honest. Golden Goal Fantasy Football Podcast says, hi James, who's your captain in Sky, mate? I've covered that a few times. Cancelo is the plan. Let's see if there's anything with my patrons. Doesn't look like it. No, doesn't look like there's going to be any early news there from United. Jonathan says, howdy James, start 2 out of this motley crew. Lamptey, Ollie Watkins or Josh King. Thanks, Tal. It's Lamptey and Watkins, isn't it, mate? That's fairly straightforward, I think. Jamie Baker says, hi James, who would you bench out of DCL, Edouard, Antonio? I can't see Antonio on the dilemma page, so I assume him. Good luck. No, mate, you can't see Antonio on the deadline page because I cannot believe that anyone actually would bench him against the way Leicester are defending at the moment. So the correct answer, mate, is Edouard, is the correct answer. Meninda Prihar says, can we talk Salah cap? Could have had 3 in 20 minutes versus Leicester. Think Bruno outscores him, but not Ronaldo due to Min's XGI, or get Bruno just for a week. I think we've talked about it enough, haven't we? If you want to captain Mo Salah this week, I don't hate it. It's Mo Salah, right? It's the best player in the game. So if you want to go that way, fine. Burnley aren't Leicester. Now someone's going to say Burnley are worse than Leicester. Yeah, they are. They ain't worse than them defensively though. Very different game of football. So no, look, I've gone to Gea captain over Salah. So I think that's where your answer is. Birth Media says, thought you were doing a silent stream. Andy said, let's talk FPL, said he was going to do a stream in silence because he was going to spend the whole hour just trying to sort out his own team rather than everybody else's. And I said I might do this stream in silence, watching him for a while. Ralph Free says, hi James, why would you play Breuer over Edouard? I'll answer that. I think both teams score once today is what I've got that predicted. I was so impressed with Breuer in midweek, and there's no guarantee that Edouard starts. That's it. But it's a close call between the two. They're right next to each other on page 1, the benching dilemma. Small preference for Breuer. That's it. Palace have won 1 away game, averaging 1 goal per game. I think they're going to go to Brentford and win 4-0, mate. Garang Barot says, I wouldn't be surprised if Southampton outscore Palace today. Garang Barot says, hi James, will Moura start all games? Yeah, Lucas Moura is going to play every minute of every game till game week 38, mate. Guaranteed. Like, seriously, mate. What is that as a question with respect? Is Lucas Moura going to start all games? You know Tottenham bought Dejan Kulusevski, right? Steven Bergwijn's fit and available again now. Tottenham changed the system when they played at Leicester to 3-5-2. I mean, right, so a system change, Moura's out the team. I would really like to see him try at right wing back, by the way, personally. So no, there's no guarantee on that at all, mate. Stephen Moore says, hi James, Rafinha or Ramsey in for Gray. Separate issue is I have no defence cover if Cancelo is rested. Rafinha blocks me getting a defender above 4.2, whereas Ramsey allows me to get Burnley defence. Depends. Do you need that extra one though? Remember, I'm guessing if you got no cover, you probably got something Arsenal or Chelsea. Therefore, you don't actually need that extra 4.2 million defender next week. Is going to be my guess. Would prefer Rafinha on the if Cancelo is rested and there's no cover. I'm in the same position this week, mate. Absolutely in the same position. But I think most people will be as well. So most people might be sitting there with, they put it like this. A lot of people might be sitting there with, say, Ben White and Brandon Williams on the bench. All right, well, if Man City win 4-0, it's going to be the same return as what I get, isn't it? So, well, yeah, I get 1 point Brandon Williams or something like that. So, no, I wouldn't stress about it. If Cancelo's absent, a lot of teams this week are going to be down to 10. I think it's where it's at. So, I wouldn't stress about it too much. Preference with Rafinha. 4 minutes to deadline, guys. Might be free by the time you hear that. Lexa Steeleman says, thoughts on Son this week? I've got him for, but almost want to flip him out for Salah for a -4. But I know that's not the right call. Why is it not the right call? In Tottenham Wolves will be low scoring. Is it worth the -4 with when Tottenham have got any home fixture? Probably not. I think he scored in 5 in a row at home, Heung-min Son. And I'd actually say he's probably just as likely to score tomorrow as Harry Kane because of how the opponent plays, actually. But, Mo, what are you doing next week? If you don't make the transfer now, what are you doing next week? Are you doing it for free? Because once I've got to next week with Son, I wouldn't want to get rid of him. That's all I'd say to that. Ian O'Neill says, hi James, how's things? Very well, thank you. I have 2 free transfers but don't know what to do. Should I bring in Cornet for Gallagher and bench Cornet this week for King Dennis? Then I'll have Cornet for the double. I'm not big on Maxwell Cornet at the moment, purely because I think there's so many good midfield options within the game that I'm not sure I'd want him to end up taking a spot. I mean, is he a good asset for 26-27? Yeah, of course. What's the plan afterwards? Chelsea 28. Then what? Where are you going from that money in 28 when they've got Chelsea? And Chelsea, I'd say 70% are going to have a double game week. That's all. What's the bigger picture? That's all I should say about that. That said, you're forced into a transfer now. Can you do something defensively to shake that up? What's the situation with your keepers? Do they rotate well? I don't hate it. I think it's probably better than doing nothing. But then Gallagher's got a much better fixture than Cornet this week. What's the alternative? I think with 2 free transfers in the bank, I'd consider binning King or Dennis if you generally don't know what to do. Jonathan Stanley says, love your work, even at 11 PM New Zealand time. Thanks, Jonathan. Hope you're doing well out there, mate. Marty says, hi, James. Keep up the good work. Great content. Would you bench boost this week with Sanchez, Edouard, King and Davis on the bench? De Gea, other keeper? No, I wouldn't. Despite the fact I think there's possibly returns in there for the 2 defensive players. I'd put Davis at a 6-pointer, Sanchez at probably an 8-pointer. That's 14. The 2, if we say 2 for Edouard and King, that's 20. Arguably, that's worth it. But I wouldn't. Because I think that could easily be not great. Don't hate it, but I think there'll be better opportunities. Ivan Kovacic says, hi James, do you feel Cucurella is worth the upside over Webster if it means a -4 next week to get Salah? With Webster in, I have 0.1 room to move Bruno to Salah. No, in that case, I'd go with Webster, mate. Thank you, Joe Fendi Badar. Javan says, I have an exact money to bring Rashford in place of Gray. Okay, thanks for sharing that. Seconds to deadline, I think, guys. Make sure you're getting locked in. I'll make it about 40 seconds to go. Someone hacks my team now. Congratulations to them. Amok says, hey mate, bench 2 of Dawson, King or Dennis. Good luck, mate. We've done, oh shit, King or Dennis. I'd play Dennis. Meninda says, was on a bender last week and missed Sky Overhaul. Fuck my life. Sunk to 3k and 18 transfers left. Give up. Still worth playing. Keep playing, mate. Enjoy the game. Learn lessons. Abhishek says, which 2 to play from Watkins, Breuer, Elise, Region? The first 2, mate. Alex Austin says, hey, mate, I need to not burn a transfer this week. So planning for game week 28. Foster to Ramsdale, have David De Gea or Sufel to Tierney. I like Soufal to Tierney if that covers you okay for this week in 27. But I'd only do that if you've got, you're saying not burn transfer. Fine, that's the way I'd go. A man Khan, hi James, what do you think is more likely, a Crystal Palace goal or an Aston Villa clean sheet? Thank you. Crystal Palace goal. Lee Thompson says, Pogba, but you shouldn't make a decision based on that. Because any one of 10 players can score a goal or an own goal. There's got to be more to it, the decision, if that's what's influencing your decision. Because you might have Luca Dean, for example, and I say, well, yeah, I think Villa don't keep a clean sheet, but I think Luca Dean on the set pieces and is attacking, particularly if Trippier misses out, could have a good day tomorrow. So there's more to it than that. Lee Thompson says, Pogba 1 week punt or play safe with Bruno. Safe, mate. Dynamite Dons, hey mate, Pogba is a differential. Go safe. Rich F says, morning James, love your content and it always gets my week off to a great start. Quick one. Gray and Antonio out for Pogba and Breuer would be a -4. Nah. I think I'd just go Gray to Ramsey. Come back for Breuer. Probably 27 or so. Right, that's it, guys. Deadline is gone. If anyone's got any non-FPL questions, I'm happy to cover them over the next 15 minutes or so. Pop them in the chat. Apologies to those who I did not get to in the chat. But hopefully the questions covered the majority of your dilemmas. I'll sum up what Romanthan says. Good luck all. If you only came for the FPL, have a great weekend. I wish you very best of luck and green arrows. Remember the game week, if it goes badly for you in the 12:30 game, remember the game week doesn't end till Tuesday, so don't stress out. There'll be another game to go. Content for us next week will be main podcast on Monday, reviewing obviously all the Gameweek 25 football. 2 Clash of Correspondence this week. Tuesday, Liverpool versus Leeds with FPL Loco Lord, FPL Tactician, ahead of both their double. And also on Thursday, Arsenal versus Wolves with 3-5 Who and Bradley Parker ahead of the double for both of those teams. Wednesday's podcast will be Sky Fantasy Football. I'll be streaming next Friday with my Ask James stream. Time to be confirmed, but we'll communicate that in due course long before. Deadline stream, I believe, next week is same time, same place, 10 a.m. UK time. Our Patreon content this week, you can support our content at www.patreon.com/planetfpl. Includes on Tuesday a return of our UCL fantasy podcast with the Champions League starting up again on Tuesday, plus our usual Q&A on Monday, a quiz, Tottenham, where there might be more ranting to come this coming week, and our Gameweek 26 preview on Friday as well. It's going to be quite an exciting week, I think, in the build-up to Gameweek 26. As ever, if you would like to support our content, www.patreon.com/planetfpl. The support is greatly appreciated because it allows me to buy things like strepsils and shit. Right, let's get into these questions. Again, if you got anything FPL, pop them in now. If you just came for the FPL, good luck, have a great week. Smash a like and the sub button on your way out. Nalio says, hey James, love the content. Swapped Gundo for Bernardo and going Lamptey. I'm nervous, but hey, gamble. Good luck. Dynamite Dons. Top 4 league predictions and UCL final prediction. Top 4, I think in order, City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal. UCL final prediction, City versus Bayern Munich. Rob says, what you expect Salah effective ownership to be next week? Gonna try and avoid the triple captain and maybe save it for later on a punt. Rank 11k. Cheers. Probably about 220%, I'd say. I guess. I'm not the most articulate person to ask on that, but I think that's roughly where it'll be. It's gonna be absolutely monstrous. I might even be undercutting that. I'm not sure. Excuse me. Lin Tian Bao says, "Hey James, love the stream as always. What are your thoughts on the Man United leaks about Ralph and Co?" I think that there's been leaks about every United manager basically since Ferguson, and I wouldn't take too much notice about them because Manchester United news stories sell. So it doesn't necessarily mean it's true or not. Not take too much notice of it personally. I think it is clear that whatever's going on there at the moment is not quite working, but then on Tuesday night, if they took their chance in the first half, they win 3-0 or so, and I'm probably not talking about this right now. So it's interesting, these stories always seem to come out after a bad result as well, right? SN says, this is my first FPL deadline stream of the year due to me enlisting into compulsory national service for military here in Singapore. Great to be back here, James. Welcome, mate. I hope all is well, mate. Normal Conquest, afternoon, James. Sky Captain, Ronaldo or Cancelo. As covered about 10 times, mate. Cancelo. But I want to credit you on your brilliant tweet. I shouted you out on the Skyford the other day. Your brilliant response to Magnus Carlsen in the week was fantastic. Jonathan says, what do you think about the Club World Cup? English media have talked it down all week. Jim White in particular. I think it's English football arrogance. South American fans view it lightly. It's not English football arrogance, mate. It's a waste of time. The old tournament format was obviously a European. The Champions League winners played the Copa Libertadores. God, say that quick when you're drunk. Copa Libertadores. The South American champions in a one-off game. And that's the same thing now. I know it's all for inclusion and stuff, but let's be honest, right? It's going to be the European team and the South American team in the finals. So stop wasting time and get on with it. And unfortunately, mate, the European team is going to win 9 times out of 10 now. That's where it's at. And that's just down to, it's not to discredit South American football, it's just the wealth and the power of European football at the moment. I think I want to say the last European team that didn't win it, I think, was maybe Chelsea, actually, against Santos in 2012. I might have that wrong. But unfortunately, of course, it probably does have more prestige for South American fans, because then it's the only chance to play the champions of Europe, right? So it will hold that prestige. Unfortunately, it doesn't for the European teams at the moment. And listening to many of our Chelsea patrons on Wednesday talking about the games, this is Chelsea fans specifically, obviously involved, they described watching the semi-final was like watching a friendly. I didn't feel anything, wasn't any emotion into it, wasn't like a desperate, or, you know, they only won 1-0, wasn't any fear of like losing the game or anything. I don't know if they might feel differently about it today after they win. I suspect they probably will. They'll be waiting to tell everyone they're the best team in the world. But it's not that big of a deal, unfortunately. Maybe it is arrogance. Maybe it is. Listen, I really hope Palmeiras wins today, right? Really, really do. But it's the competition is more of a nuisance for Chelsea. It's not a nuisance in the sense they get to say they've won this trophy, but it's the time, where it is, everything. It's only one game. Just if you're gonna do it, just have Chelsea Palmeiras. Just do it like they do with the Super Cup. Have it before the season starts. Chelsea versus Palmeiras. I don't know if that works because of the timing of the South American competition. Maybe it doesn't, perhaps. In fact, I think it probably doesn't work, does it? But just get on with the Chelsea Palmeiras game and stop with the kind of nonsense around it. Yes, okay, fine. The champions of Australia get to go and play. Great. Let's be real about this. A man talks FPL says, hi James, good luck for Gameweek 25. Favourite away ground in the league? Villa Park, I think, for me. Really good away day. It's not a million miles. Decent view, decent atmosphere, tradition of the stadium. Not normally an easy game. So Villa Park. We've got them soon, actually, Gameweek 32. And I think there's every chance I'll be at Villa Park in Gameweek 32, which, by the way, would possibly mean no deadline stream for you. Sorry, guys. I can't believe it. I've made it this far into the season and not had to say, sorry, guys, there isn't a deadline stream this week. That's mainly because of, I think, Tottenham's involvement in the Conference League and stuff. Gameweek 38, I can tell you now, there's not going to be a deadline stream because I'm going to be in Norwich, so it's not happening. But it would be a shame, actually, to make it all the way to Gameweek 38 and then just not do Gameweek 38. But I want to go to Norwich on the last day of the season. So, yeah, sorry, guys. That's the only one, I think, Gameweek 32. Let's have a look at Tottenham's fixtures. 32 is a problem. 34 would only be a problem, I think, if Tottenham were the early kickoff. I might go to Anfield in Gameweek 36. Depends how we do over the next 6-7 games or so. Martin Boyle says, I'm not saying it's necessarily the best, it's just my favourite Villa Park. Martin Boyle says, why are the forwards so rubbish this year as football changed? Is this a reason for FPL to move Salah et al. To forwards next season? No, they won't do that. Because essentially it allows you to have 8 forwards in the game, doesn't it? Or, 8 forwards in the game in theory. If you get enough of them, right? Salah's a forward, Jota's a forward, Mane's a forward. Sonny's basically a forward now. So, don't think they change it. It's more in their interest for the global games for people to have these superstar players in their teams and stuff. Why have they been so shit? Well, I think it's probably more they haven't been as such, but because I think obviously Kane, Ronaldo and Lukaku are really underwhelmed. Then plus you've had no one from the kind of 6.5 bracket who's had a real kind of standout season where everyone's gone, oh, that's the one. That's why. I mean, some of the returns that are played, to me, what's Dennis on, 8 or 9 goals? But if you said at the start of the season Dennis is going to get 8, 9 goals, I mean, it's fine, isn't it? It's decent. It just doesn't feel like that at the moment, that's all. Sebo Sar says, James, I'd love a pod on your best ever Premier League side, including tactics. I'd have to think about the tactics on that. Should we have a quick go? I would go... I think still Schmeichel in goal. I think Petr Cech is certainly worthy of consideration on reflection now. Sometimes it takes these players to finish before you go, hang on, yeah. The longevity of Petr Cech worth considering. Excuse me. Right back. Do you know what? I'm just going to stick Trent in there now. Actually. Left back, I think Ashley Cole. Centre backs. That gets so tough when you get into that area. I think, like it or not, John Terry probably has to be one of them. And then you've got so many options from there. I mean, ask me in 5 years, it might be that the answer's Van Dijk, for example. I'm going to say... Man, so many good players like Vidic, Ferdinand, Tony Adams. So many players who'd leave out. I'm going to say Vincent Kompany, actually. Yeah, let's go with that. I need a holding sitting midfield player. I think I'd want to go 4-3-3. Let's go holding sitting midfield player. What should we have? Actually, no, I need to go 2 up front. I really need to go 2 up front. Let's get Giggs left, Ronaldo right. Let's go 4-4-2. This doesn't work tactically, but sorry. Giggs left, Ronaldo right. Midfield, fucking hell, so brutal. So you've got the obvious. Vieira has to come into consideration. Keane, Scholes. Frank Lampard wouldn't make the best team for me, I don't think. Then you got people like KDB, Bernardo Silva. I would probably... I'd arguably go Keane, Scholes and just have the whole United. Arguably, yeah. Maybe. Paul Scholes I'd want in that. I haven't mentioned Gerrard. Gerrard obviously should be considered. I don't think you can't go Gerrard and Scholes. I preference Scholes personally. Sorry, I know Liverpool fans will disagree with that. Up front, got to be Shearer and Henry, isn't it? I think. And that's fairly straight. That's why it's got to be 2 up front. 'Cause you can't. I don't think if you're picking an all-time Premier League team, I don't think you can leave either of them out. You could pick a front 3 of Ronaldo, Henry, Shearer. But then that's no Ryan Giggs, and that, despite whatever you think of him off the field, if you're just judging it on the football, he's got to go in, doesn't he? Really, more than anyone, more than any of them central midfielders I mentioned. So that's why it would be that shape. That's gonna really upset some people. Thanks for ruining my day. Sean Buckley says, Sky question. I tried to set up a mini league to get my mate into playing it, but it says I need to be a chairman. Can you only set up leagues at the start of the year, or does it just hate me? I think you can only do it at the start, Sean, as far as I'm aware. So That's probably why you can't do it. Birth Media said, what upset do you foresee for the weekend? I think United will lose. Suj predicted that as well. And when he did it, I said, you know what? I'm going to have to start putting your correct score predictions on the deadline stream so people can see it's not just me. But yeah, he's tipped Southampton to win at United today. Upset, I don't think I've really picked any as such. We're not calling Leeds winning at Everton an upset, are we? I haven't picked one. I guess the one that would probably be the longest odds with the bookies would actually probably be that. It would probably be Leeds winning at Everton, actually. So no, I've not predicted any this weekend. Melinda says, if Ronaldo gets 90 today, what you think about moving him to Salah tomorrow in Sky? I think Ronaldo will play today, and I think he'll play Tuesday, mate. I think Leeds next week is more of a problem. Wavy says, rank these players at their peak. Zidane, Ronaldo the Brazilian, Messi, Maradona, and Cristiano Ronaldo. This is difficult, right? Because I've obviously seen a lot of Maradona, but I think you need to feel that kind of in the live moment. So I think on the achievements in career, etc., it's very difficult for me to place Maradona. Messi would be top for me either way. I think Ronaldo over Maradona. I think Zidane Ronaldo is so tough to try and split that. I'm going to say Zidane, but I'll caveat that by saying peak Ronaldo is the best number 9 I've ever seen in my life, by a long way. Peak Ronaldo was, wow, that kind of 96 to 98 period and stuff was unbelievable. And even still, he went on to become World Cup's top goal scorer, when he liked more things off the pitch than on it and stuff. Incredible careers. I think Zidane played at the top level for a bit more. That's all. And I think if you said to me, James, pick a midfield in terms of your favourite that you've seen, Zidane's the only player I could think of who hasn't played for Barcelona or I'd want in it. So Zidane over Ronaldo. That's really tight. It's really difficult for me to place Maradona. There'll be someone who will say, but you've got to be Maradona first. Fine, accept it if that's your opinion. For me, I think if you ask me the question in 20 years, I'd be very surprised if my answer isn't still Lionel Messi as the best out of any player that I've ever seen. I don't think I'll ever see a player better than Lionel Messi. Shifo says, thoughts on PSG and Poch this season so far and their chances versus Madrid. Can't believe Messi's only scored 2 goals this season. Did he score in the 90th minute last night? They won 1-0, I think. Look, I've not watched a lot of PSG this season, bar I watched one of the games against... in fact, no, I caught most of both games they had against Man City in the group stage. But I don't give him a chance of winning that Champions League. Don't give him a chance. It's not right. It's not right. I cannot see them beating the organisation of the English teams and stuff as it stands. We've got all the individual quality impacts. They'll turn it on in the Champions League at the end, but I don't think that. I wouldn't be surprised if Madrid beat them. Patrick Lawson says, how dark do you like your toast? I don't know what colour to describe this as. Not black and not white. Something in the middle. I don't know how to describe that. Nigel Sam says, best captain option in 27 according to you, James. How many double game weeks do you expect to appear from Gameweek 31 to 37? At the moment, my plan is bust Cancelo 27 away to Everton. I think best choices will probably be Ronaldo or Bruno Fernandes with Watford at home. At the moment, with what I'm likely to have, it's probably going to be Cancelo or Kane for me. I think I'd probably still go that rather than Tarkowski. When it comes around, people are going to be pushing Weghorst. I'm not sure I want to go down that route again following Dennis King, but I mean, it is one way of escaping them, isn't it? Although my plan at the moment is Breuer, definitely, is the priority in 27 rather than Weghorst. I've got it bust on Cancelo at the moment, but I think the best choice would be Ronaldo or Fernandes, which is interesting because many are going to sell those players in 26, and I obviously understand why. In terms of how many double game weeks do I expect from game week 31 to 37, the answer, my friend, is all of them. In my predicted schedule, I've got actually not game week 35. I don't. So maybe one not, but a game week 35 is quite dependent on who makes the FA Cup final, and possibly an English team going out in the Champions League semi-final can create where that may suddenly become an issue. But I think generally 31 to 37 is possible, all of them. So what's that, 7 game weeks at the moment? I've got it listed as 6 of them will be double game weeks. Interestingly, I have 2 of them. If Tottenham beat Middlesbrough and win their cup quarter final, I think 2 of them might be just Tottenham and Brighton on 2 separate occasions currently. So there might be an impact on Tottenham. If Tottenham lose to Middlesbrough, for example, I might revert that way. It could be as low as 4. I mean, technically, it could only be 3. I definitely think 3 as a minimum. Has to be with the volume of fixtures. If Everton do well in the cup, although I think Everton could end up doubling on 29 if they beat Bournemouth. I think the Watford fixture might get brought into 29. Yep, you might still be holding Dennis and King. No, they're going either way for me after 26, definitely. It's difficult to say at this stage. My predicted schedule at the moment, honestly, Chelsea and Arsenal added to 28. Manchester City and Brighton added to 29, brought forward from 30, and same with Watford versus Everton, brought forward from the weekend of 30 to the midweek of 29. I think it's possible. By the way, I rate those fixtures going into 29 at like a 10% chance, but I think that could happen. You're very welcome, Norman Conquest. Not a problem, mate. Your message was class, mate. Thomas says Corinthians. Sorry, Birth Media says it as well. Sorry, you're quite right, guys. Corinthians beat Chelsea in 2012. Why did I have Santos and Neymar in my head? I think maybe they lost to someone. Maybe Santos lost to Barcelona. But that might have been what I was thinking about. And they both play in black and white, don't they? That's probably where I've got confused. FPL Rover says, what are your thoughts on Mane, both in terms of rotation during the double and maybe bet against Salah in FPL? Often been second, as seen as second fiddle to Salah in the team, but now back as African champion. My thoughts are, mate, that it's 22 minutes after the deadline and really can't bother to talk about FPL now. In terms of rotation, guess away. I don't think there's any point even speculating about it till after the Inter Milan's gone on Wednesday, right? And yeah, who's going to play tomorrow? Who's going to play against Inter Milan? Is Mane a rotation risk in game week 26? They all are. Mane is, Salah is, Jota is, Firmino is, Luis Diaz is. One of the things I covered yesterday was I think there is a possibility that Liverpool might play 4-2-3-1 tomorrow, with something specifically designed to counter certain issues that Burnley have in between their defence and midfield. And I think it is possible that Firmino, Salah, Jota and Diaz all start tomorrow. I'll look like a genius if that's right. It's more likely they stick with the normal system, obviously. But they're all rotation risks. Don't honestly, unless you, I wouldn't gamble against Salah 26. I cannot make any case to gamble against him in 26. I learned from my own experience of going with Mane versus Salah in game week 24 last year, and we'll never know what the result was because obviously Mane got injured right at the start of the first game of the double. But this one is going to be even worse because there was a bit more of a split then. It's not going to be hardly any split on this. The only split in 26 is are people triple captaining Mo Salah or bench boosting. That's the only split. And those who are bench boosting, I think, are probably still better off captaining Mo Salah and just accepting that he's going to hurt your rank a little bit, but limit the damage. That's it. If you were going to captain a player in a single game week, and I said to you, right, pick a single game day this season, your player's only going to play once. right at the top of that list, you would have Liverpool at home to Leeds or Liverpool at home to Norwich. So I'm not bothered because they might only play 20 minutes. Yeah. And still could go mental. I just don't think it's worth going against. This is not, certainly from my perspective, I cannot be advising anyone to say, yeah, try it if you like. I don't want anybody else to try it. Just go with Mo 26. Vabaf's music, I don't have Cristiano, is it a problem? I don't know, mate. You tell me. I haven't got him either. Peter G, morning James, Sky question, Walker versus Cancelo. I presume that's aimed at captaincy. Cole Walker's got to play today, hasn't he? You think? This is the problem when we start second guessing Guardiola. That's really interesting. I'd argue, wow, so tough. I don't even think there's a guarantee that Walker plays. I don't think it's a guarantee. It should be though. Oh crap! I think if that was me, I'd captain Walker. Fucking hell! I hadn't even considered that as a fault. That's brutal. I don't think it's a guarantee that Walker plays. I do, by the way, think Cancelo plays, but I think in that situation, say I've got Cancelo, Laporte, right? I could go Laporte instead, and Cancelo might play, and Laporte might not. That's more one where you think Walker's got to play, hasn't he? Because he's suspended in midweek. You would think, wouldn't you? Pet's such a nightmare to read. Dynamite Don says, when Liverpool won it, it didn't seem much, and the FA wouldn't even allow them to wear the gold badge in the Prem. That's in reference to the Club World Cup. Javino99, hi James, apologies if you mentioned this already, but any reason why you favoured Ronaldo over Bruno on your captaincy pick? Surely Bruno will be on pens now until he misses. Keep up the good work. You think Ronaldo's given up pens because he missed one? I know we generally, Man United don't get pens every week like they used to, mate. You make a decision based on pens. I made the decision on Ronaldo based on probability of, for me, chances can be created against the two teams that they're playing based on, I've just watched Brighton and Southampton at White Hart Lane, and the way they set up, they will give attacking players chances. Ronaldo will have chances, I'm certain of it, and I there's not a lot in it. I just favour Ronaldo. I don't agree with your penalty logic, to be honest. Adam English says, I'm over for our game v Wolves on Sunday, might bump into you if you're around, first time to the new place. Adam, give me a shout tomorrow, mate. J Lodge, thanks for the help with the... Adam, let me know where you're sitting and stuff, mate, tomorrow. J Lodge says, thanks for the help with the Tarkowski bench question. If you could only pick one of these mids for the current Spurs team in their prime, who are you picking? Modric, Dembele, Hoddle, Van der Vaart, Gascoigne, Ginola. That narrows down to 3, I think, quite quickly. Actually, no, that's a lie. That narrows down to 4. I would discount VDV and Ginola because not midfield players, really. VDV was a 10. Ginola was primarily a winger for Tottenham. So that leaves the other 4. I don't think it can be Dembele as much as I loved him. I don't think it can be. I think the real answer there, I never watched Hoddle live. So the real answer, I think, for me would be in their prime, Gascoigne. I think in absolute peak condition, 21, 22-year-old Paul Gascoigne, as I've said several times, should have gone on and become the best player in the world. Whether it would work the same way now with different tactical setups and the change of the game and better defences and stuff, very difficult to say. But I think Gascoigne, for what it's worth, if I was picking an all-time Tottenham 11, Modric, Dembele and Gascoigne would all be in it, and the only reason Hoddle wouldn't be is because I never got to see him live. Patrick Lawson saying Vinny, but I don't really know what to. Right, real quick ones, because I need to finish this right now, so I'm gonna do these in one-word answers. Sorry guys, I've got a birthday party to go to. Yeah, I'm not even gonna watch David De Gea as my captain. Couldn't care less. James 98 says Pirlo, Busquets, Xavi Alonso. Drop 1, bench 1, start 1. Start 1, Busquets, Bench 1, Pirlo. Drop 1, Xavi Alonso. Tough. James98 says Ronaldo won a World Cup with 1 knee. FPL Rover. Amidst the recent post-AFCON debate surrounding penalty taking order, how would you set up the 5 takers from the current Spurs squad in a shootout? Kane first, Son 5th. Who else we got that can take them? 3 other shit ones in the middle. Wavy Way, I agree. Messi number 1, Ronaldo before his injury was out of this world too. Of course. The problem is, everyone wants to discredit. If you say Messi over Ronaldo, it's got to be but Ronaldo, and it's the same vice versa. It doesn't have to be like that. Ronaldo's a phenomenon. Birth Media, doesn't Breuer remind you of Diego Costa? He has got a little bit of a young about him, yes. I don't disagree with that. Robin Richmond says, cheers games, good luck for the week. Question, do you see a non-English team winning Champions League anytime soon? Feels like financial. Yeah, I still think Bayern Munich in with a good chance. Elliot Duncan, deadline's gone, pal. Rockpie123, how would you rate it out of 10 if Spurs got Ilhan Meslier in as Loris long-term replacement? Three or 4. That's not to discredit Meslier. I just at the moment want something better. But he's young, right? He might fill out a bit and become a really good keeper. You're very welcome, FPL Rover. Wait, what? The deadline has gone. Crixie, I switched out Rafinha for Coutinho. And thanks, great. Will Bill, favourite non-Premier League club. Enfield Town is down the road. Azuri said teams are out, no surprises. That doesn't surprise me. Ayub says, who is a better captain, Bruno or Ronaldo for this game week? Doesn't fucking matter, mate, 'cause the deadline's gone. Right, go. Everybody, much love. I have to shoot. I've got a party for the little man. Have a great weekend. As I said, reminder, if the 12:30 game goes wrong for you, remember, there's another game to go on Tuesday. Chill. Enjoy the weekend, guys. The decisions have been made. There's lots of football. Enjoy it. I don't disagree, Will Wood. Meslier is class. I certainly think he's got the scope to improve. Have a great weekend, everyone. Me and Suj will be back on Monday. Ciao for now.